A cardiac anesthesiologist at Columbia Presbyterian on 168th Street. We saw that 2 planes had flown into the World Trade Center, thought that they would need all hands on deck. So I hopped into some scrubs and grabbed some medical stuff and just grabbed, an ambulance stopped. I hopped in. Maybe leave the keys in the car so they can move it if they have to. Is there a staging area?
They're evacuating this whole area.
Yeah, but they had people who are hurt, right? They're going to pull them out.
Estimate is we probably lost 200 firefighters.
Oh, my God.
And God knows how many thousands of people.
Yeah. Okay. So you want me to wait right here? Okay.
And stay away from any other high-rise building.
Okay. Let's just station up right here, okay?
All right.
Why don't we set up? We were instructed by a fire chief to start setting up a staging area right there. Then the second building came down. I videoed what I could, got behind a car. I hope I live. I hope I live. It's coming down on me. Here it comes. I'm getting behind a car. Everything went black. My eyes are open, and unless I've been blinded, it is black as night. Just tried to breathe. I was behind a car. I tried to smash one of the car windows so that I could climb into the car and get some fresh air, but I couldn't break the window, so just sort of went down into the gutter under the car. I'm sorry I came down. I just had to help people. I think I actually said into the microphone, I sort of apologized to my family for going down and trying to help, because I really didn't think I was going to make it out. Okay, I'm going to have to go find people who need help, because I don't think I'm one of them. You okay, sir? Okay. Can I just get a toot off your respirator?
Yeah.
Can I get a toot? I'm seeing a couple of clean breaths. It was hard to see. Everybody's eyes were full of dust and stinging, so it's actually quite hard to see anything.
Okay.
Back to you. It's 10:41 a.m. I can't do very much because I can't see. My eyes are full of stuff. There was initially complete disarray. All the emergency crews, the firemen, the policemen. Do you have an extra mask?
No, I just gave it out. You all right, Tom?
Yeah, I'm good. See if we can help anybody. They won't let me go any closer. No one can go in to get the people out. There's small explosions still going on. So they have hurt people over there?
Yeah, they got people over there. We've been pulling out. We've done about 3 tricks already also.
Okay. Having seen the buildings come down, I was expecting an enormous number of casualties, and it is striking how few injured people there actually were. I think, unfortunately, a lot of people who were in the building perished in the building.
And nobody moving on the Bill Parkway on the westbound side up and beyond Pennsylvania Avenue.
It's not a thing that you think about. You just move, try to get out of the way. That's it. Be thankful that I wasn't in closer. The bravery of the people who went in there is something else. You know? It's just a wasteland.
Dr. Mark Keefe, the bravery of the people who went in there, he said, was something else. As we look behind us, the bravery of those people trying to knock down the fire still in building number 7 is something else as well. It's a very unstable situation. When we got here, I guess that almost an hour ago, we could see from where we are, go ahead and zoom past me if you haven't, we could see the front of building number 7. Now all we can see is smoke. We can still see the fire truck pouring water, but it has moved. It was pouring water sort of dead center on the building. If you drew a line in the middle of the street, it was kind of aimed straight. It has now moved off to our right. The color of the smoke has changed. The density of the smoke has changed, and we won't hazard a guess as to the significance or lack thereof of either of those things. We will tell you that there is a concern down below us about asbestos in the air. Cars are being marked. There's an enormous amount of dust. The Trade Center buildings were very shiny and very big, but they were not necessarily new. They've been up there for a generation, and there is some concern that asbestos has been shaken loose by the collapse of these buildings, that it is in the air, it is on the ground now in this almost volcanic-looking dust. And it does, in fact, remind us of our coverage in 1980 of Mount St. Helens, transported to an urban situation. But it is one more danger down there that officials have to deal with, and everyone else in this city has to deal with. We continue to draw information from many different sources. In about an hour and a half, at about 3:30 Eastern Time, we expect the President's press secretary, Ari Fleischer, to brief reporters on everything that at least the government is willing to say, and we'll be carrying that, of course. Down below, as he has been, is our Gary Tuckman. He joins us on the phone. Gary, tell me, I guess first locate yourself for us. Give us some sense of where you are and what you are seeing.
Way from where the World Trade Center buildings used to stand on Church Street. There's a familiar sight to New Yorkers. You walk down Church Street and you see the majestic 110-story South Tower of the World Trade Center. That was the #2 World Trade Center, and now there's nothing there. And to talk about the smoke that you see and the ashes and the dust that you were just talking about, fire officials are telling us right now there are still spot fires they are trying to put out, including one that's in a restaurant. That's leading to some of the smoke. And regarding that dust, you're absolutely right. We've all been given masks. When we don't have the masks, your throats get quickly irritated, you cough. That's the scenario for everyone who's in this area right now. Almost everyone's wearing masks, but we can tell you that this area of New York City, which is one of the most crowded parts of Manhattan during the business day because it's the financial district, is now off limits to all members of the general public. It's only emergency officials, police, fire, members of the National Guard, and that is a sight that is very hard to get used to, seeing members of the military with their helmets on surrounding the neighborhood. The people who live in the area have been told to evacuate. Some members of the news media have gotten in, like us, to report on what's going on here. You know, the feelings we go through as we cover this are familiar. In 1993, we were here for the first terrorism incident at the World Trade Center, the bombing of the North Tower. In 95, we were in Oklahoma City for the bombing of the Murrah Federal Building, and now in 2001, we're here. But the magnitude of this is so hard to grasp because if Mayor Rudy Giuliani is right, and there's no reason to doubt it, thousands of people have died outside these World Trade Center buildings, and most of their bodies are still buried under tons of rubble. We all hope for lots of survivors when this first happened. There have been some survivors, but certainly it's not a large number. Right now the count is 9. 6 firefighters, 3 police officials have been located. They are all expected to survive. We hope they find more survivors, but as of now, we've had no one tell us that any more than 9 have been found. Aaron?
Let's walk through a couple of things on that. What officials and rescue teams are hoping for is that there is, in these collapsed buildings, essentially air pockets or voids that people have either managed to get into, or essentially it collapsed around them and they were able to stay alive, to keep breathing. The problem is they can't get to the voids because it is so unstable. Fair?
Very fair, Aaron, and that's one thing that fire officials are telling us. They believe there's potential for many of these so-called voids, but they can't get to them yet. So that's why they are hopeful they'll find more survivors. One of the survivors who was in a void, one of the police officials with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, knew the World Trade Center building very well, was under rubble in a void. His leg was pinned down by some of the rubble, but he knew exactly where he was, even though he couldn't see any daylight. He got on his cell phone. He called emergency officials and told them where he was. Here's where you should dig. They dug. They found him. They were afraid they were going to have to amputate his leg to get him out, but they were able to slip him out without taking off his leg.
One of the most frustrating scenes that we have seen in this, in fact, is we were making our way to where we're reporting from, coming down the West Side Highway. There's this string of vehicles, of rescue trucks, utility trucks, electric generators, garbage trucks with snow plows on. They'll be used to clear debris. All of them waiting until it is safe to go in and they can do what they need to do, which is to try and find anyone who may have survived this awful tragedy. And you could see in their eyes the frustration that they are held away, that they can't do what they have been trained to do, and I dare say what they desperately want to do. Lou?
All right, Aaron. Have a couple of notes for you to keep in mind. We're about 1:55 Eastern Time. In about 35 minutes, the Secretary of State, Colin Powell, will hold a news conference, and we plan to bring that to you live when it happens. Also, the investigation, we saw at the beginning of this hour some police activity, SWAT team activity around the hotel in Boston where members of the police and SWAT team were attempting some undisclosed police activity surrounding tips that perhaps some material leads might be available at that hotel, as they were in Florida, with several people taken into custody there. We have Eileen O'Connor in Washington keeping track of the investigation in the wake of yesterday's tragedy. What do we know? How far along are we, Eileen?
Well, we do have some new developments to report, Lou. First of all, in Coral Springs, Florida, the police there, Sergeant Rich McCorvo, the police spokesman, is confirming that 4 of the Coral Springs Police Department's officers did accompany FBI agents to a home in that city, the home of Mohammed Atta. And they say that they do believe that he may have been one of the hijackers. They do not say whether they took anyone into custody when they went to that home. They also have issued, at the request of the FBI, the police in Coral Springs have issued a BOLO. It's a be on the lookout for 2 different cars. One of them is a 1989 two-door red Pontiac with license number D79DDV or DVD, David Victor David, and a 4-door Oldsmobile with license number V for Victor, EP Edward Patrick, 54N as in Nancy. Now, that is a BOLO. Be on the lookout for those 2 vehicles. They say they do not have any details as to why the FBI wants to get a hold of those 2 cars. In addition, we're also being told by a law enforcement source that the agents on the ground in Florida do have some people in custody, they are saying, and that they are talking to them. Now, these are not necessarily suspects at all. These are people who they want to talk to about perhaps any leads, trying to trace back some people. They have been in touch with Huffman Aviation School. That is an aviation school in Venice, Florida. They say, the owner of that school says that they are talking to him about one of the students from that school. And in addition, we also know that over in Boston, the Maine spokesman for the Maine Department of Public Safety, Steve McCausland, and the governor there has confirmed that they seized a vehicle from the Portland, Maine jetport yesterday evening, the police did, and they believe that 2 of the hijackers used that car to travel to the jetport, where they boarded an early morning flight from Portland, Maine, the jetport, to Boston very early in the morning. It was a commercial flight. They're not releasing the name of the airline. That was a rental car, but they do not know how long that car was in Portland and exactly where it was rented. They are now tracing back. They also have not searched the car. They may well be in the process of that now. And they say that it was a Nissan Altima silver with Massachusetts license plates. Again, also police sources say that they do have some people in custody in Boston, again, saying that these are people probably helpful to the investigation. Lou?
Eileen, do we know how authorities got so quickly back to Coral Springs?
Well, they believe that they are obviously cross-checking manifests, and they believe that in this case it could have been one of the hijackers, and perhaps his name is on the manifest. Obviously, if he's a hijacker, then he would be dead, and so they went to this home yesterday evening with the FBI. They are not confirming if anyone was there, in fact, at that home. As you can see, it's 1001 West Atlantic Boulevard in Coral Springs, and as I said, the police went there last night with FBI agents.
And are authorities saying anything about that car that was confiscated by the FBI out of the central parking garage in Boston overnight, and the evidence that they found inside that the FBI says is useful and positive?
sources say that they did have some material seized from that car and that it was Arabic.